Welcome back, everybody. Tesla drivers in Seattle are now joining the wave of trade-ins amid the backlash around the companies that have ties to Elon Musk. The owners say that they feel that their safety is actually at risk with the billionaire in the spotlight now so often. Maddie White reports.
Carter Rabasa is so proud of his new Rivian. He asked me to take a photo on his phone of him posing with it.
The car is fantastic.
Rabasa says he was no longer comfortable owning a Tesla.
I had traded in my Tesla Model Y for this Rivian R1S.
He didn't get much for it.
Would have been worth $10,000 or $15,000 more a year ago.
But he says that's a small price to pay for safety.
As a parent and a husband, it just felt like irresponsible to continue to drive around in this thing and just sort of have like a target on your back.
Plus, he worries others might associate him with some of Musk's recent words and actions.
I would start to notice maybe some looks.
Over in Renton,
they love their Teslas, but they don't want to be dealing with all that.
A Nissan salesman tells King 5 he's seen a similar sentiment from customers interested in his electric vehicles.
Last couple months, they have been trading their Teslas. They're afraid vandalism.
And he says they are reaping the benefits.
We definitely have been selling more EVs in the last few months, more Arias, more Leafs, definitely.
But regardless of which brand is benefiting, Rabasa is just hopeful more people drive electric.
I guess it's nice that this is putting Tesla in the news. The majority of Americans do not drive electric cars, right? The majority of Americans probably have a lot of misconceptions about electric cars based on information from the past.
Now to a music festival in Minneapolis this weekend that had a unique goal: celebrate Korean adoptees and help them connect to their culture. But the Heart and Soul Connection event in Minneapolis on Saturday took on added significance last week when the South Korean government apologized publicly for decades of adoption fraud. This happened after a Truth Commission found a pattern of falsified birth records and cover-ups by adoption agencies who they say sent babies abroad, quote, like luggage for profit. More of those children were sent to Minnesota than any other state. So this week's news certainly hit home, and as our Ken Erdahl found out, the weekend's event will too.
It's about giving back to the community.
Big birthdays tend to bring big wishes.
Wanting to understand my past and wanting to travel back to my birth country.
David Chili Kaufman admits it took him 50 years to come around to the idea of traveling to South Korea.
I've been fearing it my whole life, and it's mainly been because of how I would be received there. Just not knowing the language and being raised in the culture.
As a Korean adoptee raised in rural Minnesota, he knows where that fear came from.
I truly abandoned my cultural identity growing up just to survive and fit in and not get beat up and teased.
But thanks to loving parents and a sister who shares his complicated identity, he began to embrace his culture after graduation, connecting with other adoptees while working in the Twin Cities music scene. And that will all come together at the Hook and Ladder Theater on Saturday.
I'm grateful for this community. We have a lot of different artists and people that have really just stepped up. This is an accumulation of friends, family, artists that I've been supporting for 20, 30 years.
But Chili Rocks 50 isn't just a birthday celebration. He says it's a celebration of a culture he shares with up to 20,000 other Korean adoptees who grew up in Minnesota.
Show your skills, show your talent, come together, spread awareness, spread joy, spread light, collaborate on something that can really lift a community that needs help right now.
When the Korean government admitted for the first time this week to widespread adoption fraud stemming from its rush to send children to America and Europe,
it's deep, and
David's party took on new meaning.
I get emotional because I see so many people struggling that never got seen, never got heard. And they are wondering if they are part of this adoption fraud, this scam.
There's so much lost in our paperwork and so many mistakes. We don't know our origins.
Kate Winkle has little information about her life before she arrived in Minneapolis at 6 months old.
We've been waiting for the Korean government to give us an apology for decades.
Now that it's here, Winkle, who owns Arbeiter Brewing, is hosting a special happy hour for adoptees to gather before Chili's party.
To understand the traumas, the unspoken traumas, and to have a space that we can share that together is pretty neat.
I couldn't imagine a better way to come together and just support each other.
Which is why he's not letting either party go to waste.
I'm raising money to help Korean adoptees like myself to travel over to South Korea for the first time. So many times I've told myself I can't go to Korea, I can't afford it, and I just left it at that. This is an opportunity to provide financial aid and support for people that need it and that want to go.
Even if that desire comes with mixed emotions.
It's going to be the hardest journey in my life to go back. I've been fearing it for 50 years, so it's time to end those fears and start the healing.
Start the healing. Now we're highlighting a new business in George Floyd Square. The Plot Gallery celebrating its grand opening this past weekend. Take a look. It was founded by a local artist. His name is Ace Rice, whose family has lived in this area for generations. He says investing in this area means so much to him. And when the space opened up, he was ready for the opportunity.
I guess being from here gives me a little bit of more confidence and a little bit more of excitement to be in the area because this is like my backyard. So just being committed to it hasn't, it's just who I am and it's just part of my story as well. So
Rice says he wants to work with other artists to make the gallery more of a destination, really. He and his family make the art inside, which is inspired by his great-grandfather. Certainly a special spot. Stay with us. More news and weather is coming up after the break.